Hey guys, Chicago injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here. In today's video, I am talking about Dr. Frankenstein, or why you need an injury lawyer after your case settles even more than before. Boy, that sounds weird, huh? I need an injury lawyer after my case settles? Well, let me tell you about a situation I have. I have a small case that settled, and I have a doctor out in the burbs who is a monster. Just let me tell you what happened. I do all the math on the case afterwards, and any doctor or insurance company or Medicare or Medicaid who sends me a legal claim or who I'm aware of has a legal claim, I include it in all the settlement math so that we can offer them the appropriate amount of money out of your settlement. Because I don't like to pay doctors and hospitals and insurance companies money out of your settlement. So I only pay the people we have to, and I only pay them what the law requires me to pay them. Okay? So, um, that is, how I do it, and I think that's how a lot of lawyers do it. I have known lawyers who kind of don't worry about post settlement uh, numbers because they just want to get agreements. But I don't like to give away a single dollar of your money unless I have to. Sometimes I have to. Sometimes after a case ends, it's really, really complicated because you have medical liens, you have unpaid bills without a medical lien, and some clients want me to reach out to those people and pay. You have health insurance that has asserted a right of subrogation, meaning they contact me and say they want to get paid. Then you have health insurance that doesn't assert their right of subrogation, and then it's up to the client what we do. Then we have Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security Disability. We have insurance company rights of subrogation. So if an insurance company pays some of your medical bills or sends medical payment money to a doctor or to my office because I try to collect it for you, they're going to have their hand out at the end of the case. So how does all of that interplay, and how do I make sure that I put as much money in your pocket as possible? I'm going to tell you, the doing all that math at the end of the case is getting crazy. I mean, it's been complicated, but it's more complicated than settling the underlying case because you've got these doctors and insurance companies who want to take every dollar they can away from you. So Dr. Frankenstein is one of those. So we sent Dr. Frankenstein our standard note, and Dr. Frankenstein wanted more money. And, I usually have my staffs, I prepare the letters, I do the math, I give them to my staff to send out and follow up when they don't get signed. This doctor wouldn't sign. My secretary came and said she's bullying me, she's being rude, she wants all the paperwork from the file, she wants all the settlement documents. And I told her, no, I'm not going to send her all the settlement documents. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to do it. So I said, look, find out when she has time for a call because she's a doctor and I'm respectful of Dr. Frankenstein's time. So we get on the phone and I explain how the Lien Act works, and her position is, well, it's not enough money. It's not enough money. I'm like, look, I know you don't think it's enough money. I know you want your whole bill paid. I understand. But I can't give you my client's money if they're not legally required to pay it. Okay? Like, I literally, ethically cannot tell my client that I'm peeling off an extra $5,000 out of their settlement to pay you just because you're dissatisfied. Okay? Doctor doesn't go for it, doctor doesn't go for it, doctor doesn't go for it. Finally, I say, listen, you know, this is the correct number. I went through all the numbers. So, long story short, I tell the doctor, look, we'll increase what we're paying you by $500, But this 500 bucks is coming out of my pocket and the client's pocket. Okay? If the client doesn't agree, it's going to come out of my pocket. I understand you're upset. I don't think you're understanding how the Lien Act works, which is fine. Okay? But, you know, it is what it is, and this is the situation we find ourselves in. So she agrees. So I write her a letter explaining everything I just explained to her on the phone because I wanted her to have it in black and white, and I wanted her to know that I'm an honest guy and I am not afraid to put anything I say to anyone out of my mouth. I'm willing to put in writing because I don't lie. So anyway, I wrote her the exact letter and asked her to sign it. A few days go by, she won't sign it. I come back into the office and I hear my secretary like backpedaling with somebody on the phone, and then based on the conversation, I know who it is. So she gets off the phone. My secretary comes into my office and she said, "Did you have another conversation with this doctor?" And I'm like, "No, you saw I gave you the letter to send to her. Did you send it?" And she's like, "Yeah, I sent it." And she just told me that I need to change the terms in the letter and then she'll sign it. And guess what term she wanted to change? How much money? So after I spent like 20 minutes on the phone with her and she agreed to a number and I'm paying her more than she's entitled to just to get it over with, she calls my secretary and bullshits my secretary and tells her that our deal was something else. Now, luckily, my secretary was in the room with me when we were talking to the doctor together over the telephone. So I called the doctor and I said, "Look, I don't appreciate that. That was really underhanded, and I don't appreciate you bullying my staff and trying to BS my staff into thinking that um, that our deal was something else or suggesting you and I had another conversation." So guess what happened? She signed the deal finally. So more recently, I got her on another one, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's horrible. So this is what I'm going to tell you. If you have a doctor who's Dr. Frankenstein, who all they're worried about is their money and how much money they're getting paid, then I do not recommend you go and treat with that doctor. So my advice, the moral of the story is avoid Dr. Frankenstein at all costs. You don't want a lawyer who wants to take your entire settlement for themselves, and you do not want a doctor. And unfortunately, more and more doctors are beginning to develop that sort of mentality of, I don't care if the injured person puts $1 in their pocket. I want to squeeze as many pennies out of that injured person as possible. And I think that's terrible. Um, I don't know how it's going to resolve with this doctor. I think I'm just going to make sure the entire case is settled before I disperse, and I'm not even going to call her. I'm just going to file a motion to adjudicate at the end of the case. I'm not even going to call her. I'm not even going to send her anything. Just going to send her a motion to adjudicate at the end of the case. Go to court, have a judge look at the numbers. If she doesn't show up, her lien will be 0. If she does show up, she'll have to hire a lawyer and spend money to do it, or she can come to court herself. But at any rate, um, again, I don't care. You know, I think it's crappy when lawyers or doctors try to take an injured person's money after an injury. I think it's crappy. But what's even worse than that is when they lie. When somebody lies to me, if it's a doctor or a patient or one of my clients, uh, it's hard for me to come back from that. I do not like it when people lie to me, especially if they're my client or especially if they're a professional. Like, there's ethical standards. You're not supposed to lie to people like that. Anyway, um, avoid Dr. Frankenstein. And this is just an example why it can be harder at the end of the case as in the beginning. I'm going to let you go, but I hope you and your family are well. If you or anyone you know has been injured and they need representation, or even if they just have a question about their injury case, you can call me anytime, night or day, at 312 500 4500. It's 312 500 4500, anytime, night or day. Um, your phone's going to get picked up by somebody trained by me, and as soon as they get your info, they text and email it to me so that I can call you back as soon as I'm available. Because as you might imagine, I'm pretty busy because I actually represent injured people in cases. Um, what else? Over 300 videos on my YouTube channel. You can search my YouTube channel for your question. If you don't find one, you can leave a comment in the comment section and I'll shoot you a custom video about your situation. But don't leave too much personal information in a public forum because the insurance company and the defense attorney can find it and use it against you, right? And please like this video and subscribe so that you get notice of when I release a new video. Finally, I got two really cool tools on my website. One is called the Case Cash Calculator. It tells you whether you might have a good case or a bad case. Well, no, that's the good case calculator that tells you if your case might be good or bad. The Case Cash Calculator tells you whether what your case might be worth, all without talking to a lawyer in 20 seconds flat. Here's how it works. Links in the description. You go to those web pages. They're right on my site. They're free and no obligation to use. You can share them. You can use them as many times as you want. You answer 7 multiple choice questions off the top of your head. Within 10 seconds, you get custom information about your injury situation, all without talking to a lawyer and for free. And I'm getting a ton of positive feedback about these two tools, so check them out. Links in the description. Finally, if you appreciate my information and what I do for free for injured people, please consider giving me a 5-star review on Google. It would really help me out. I'd really appreciate it. There's a link in the description. You just go to that web address on your phone, computer, or tablet. Takes you right to the page. Click 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit. Just like that, you're done. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Leaves me a review that helps me compete against the big boys in my market, and I'd really appreciate it. It would be a nice thing to do. If you don't feel like doing it, that's okay. We're still friends. If there's anything I can do to help you, you let me know. 312 500 4500. I hope you have a beautiful day and take care. Bye bye.